Things are heating up for The Mandalorian as we get even closer to the season finale, and we got some really interesting details around Moff Gideon's ultimate plans. So, let's jump right in. Welcome to Star Wars Uplink.
Every society has something to offer. The cloners, the Jedi, and even the Mandalorians. By aggregating the best of each, I will create an army that will bring order to the galaxy. Why don't we take your fleet off the board?
This episode was so awesome for many different reasons. One, we were able to watch it at Star Wars Celebration with 5,000, maybe it was about like 4,500 other people.
I like how specific you're trying to be about that.
It was big.
It was a lot of people.
It was a lot of people. There were a lot of people there that it's so different because we haven't had a Star Wars experience in theaters in so long.
True.
That it just feels it feels good. It feels good to get into a theater in a dark room with a bunch of other Star Wars fans to watch the new Star Wars thing.
Truly.
But on that episode, my goodness, whether or not you agree or disagree with this statement that I'm going to make, Season 3 has been a bunch of highs and a bunch of lows, and it doesn't seem like they really knew where they were going. Now we get a great look at what the stakes are. We have some stakes. Mando got captured. Par Vizsla died, and we have Moff Gideon, we have Thrawn being mentioned, and we have the secret underworld and the Shadow Empire. All of these big things that have been talked about previously in canon and even in Legends. We've got many mentions of that and many explanations and explorations of that many different ways.
We're seeing a lot of this, like, the darker side of things that we haven't seen. Like, lately, it's just been Mando kind of doing his thing.
Yep. La 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 la. Oh, hey.
And then it was like, well, maybe we should make life better for the Mandalorians, for all the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh, here's the real meat of here's the bad guy. Wow, it only took us 7 episodes to get here.
To actually know what the heck the whole season's about.
Yep, but here we are.
Yeah, we had the New Republic, we had the pirates, we had the side quests, all of it. And it didn't feel like they were heading towards anything until now, and where we had like the plot progress so quickly. But all of that aside, we have Moff Gideon and some mentions about cloning, and I think the biggest thing was just this monologue that he went on to after he captured Din Djarin. And now he's bringing forward this new identity and this new thing in Star Wars, which are these Beskar troopers. Some are talking about them being the next version of the Super Commandos, which is something that was introduced in Legends. And we haven't really seen much around that. And I think we got a little bit in terms of like animated stuff. But we got these are the Beskar troopers. I don't know if we have an official name for them yet. But imagine clones, some droid tech, Beskar being utilized for this new version of these troopers.
Yeah, it was it's interesting because although they're telling you everything along the way, you're still kind of in the dark about what exactly they are.
Because they mentioned cloning, they mentioned robots, they mentioned all these different things, but we don't know if they're clones, we don't know if they're droids. The Dark Troopers are droids. This newest iteration of the Dark Troopers are droids. And we have mention of clones. We see what Dr. Pershing was looking at. We see all of these references. Even in the Bad Batch, we see these references about the next iteration of cloning and these new Dark Troopers, these experiments that are taking place. And we see Moff Gideon really wanting to facilitate and just build his own personal army, separate from what the Shadow Empire is doing.
Yeah, he's definitely got his own master plan going on. I think we are seeing him utilizing cloning because
I think so.
We get him walking through that whole there's like that little montage of him walking through. Yeah, those with the troopers. But then there was also that moment where you see the tanks in behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the clones that he's brewing. And he's taking, as you said, he's taking the best of each of these groups, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, they're trying to take like different of the best genes from two groups or two people and using those to make the next iteration of the clones.
Yeah, it's
pretty
interesting.
twisted.
Yeah, it's a little wrong, but
I think
he's a bad dude, so I guess we can expect that from him.
I think it's really fascinating to see this this next evolution of the Dark Troopers, because the Dark Troopers are insane, and now we have the Beskar Troopers, which they seem to be not as powerful because the Mandalorians just like take them out pretty quickly.
Right.
Par Vizsla like just destroys them like insanely, just boom, 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 single-handedly like takes out like 20 of them, and then the Praetorian Guards come in and destroys Par Vizsla.
Yeah.
So I think there's like these different tiers that we're building up, and the Dark Troopers was like in season 2, they were the thing.
Yeah.
They were insanely strong. Mando, the whole group honestly weren't going to survive unless Luke Skywalker showed up. And now we have something that's even more powerful with the Praetorian Guards and what Moff Gideon's doing with these new Beskar troopers and utilizing Beskar in a way that is not to the Mandalorian creed, because the Mandalorians were like this special group that was one of the things, like they mined Beskar, and it was part of their religion, the armor, the weapons, all of that. And now we're seeing some shifts in how that is perceived after the loss of Mandalore, and then Moff Gideon taking it over even further, betraying Bo-Katan, which we learned that's how she loses the Darksaber. Like, there's a lot that just happened in that one episode.
Yeah. So much.
And that was just a little bit of it. Like,
Yeah,
that was
was
from
blip.
one montage.
Uh-huh.
Like,
yeah, it felt like there
monologue.
were like 5 episodes in this one episode.
Yeah, like they could have totally stretched out the story points in this one episode for the whole season, which obviously is one of our criticisms of this season in particular.
Yeah.
It feels like all of this last 6 episodes could have been maybe 2, probably 3, but honestly, that would be pushing it. Like, there's totally an alternate universe where they had 3 episodes, 2 episodes probably, that laid out those big story beats.
They're probably like, Star Wars Celebration is coming. Let's just pack this really good one. And then we'll just make the story kind of hop, skip, and jump its way over here.
Yeah, which I love the episode, but it's hard to really appreciate this episode when you take into context what happened last episode, which was Jack Black and Lizzo paired up with the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan to take down Christopher Lloyd's Count Dooku loving character.
It was a strange choice.
Yeah. So, like, those two things, like, that is a true case of, like, the highs and lows of Mandalorian, where you have, like, this incredible episode, which is episode 7, that was preceded by this, like, really weird episode. It's like, that episode wasn't bad, but it also doesn't make sense for what we now know for the whole arc of the season, which was Moff Gideon. And then you take into account that everything that was set up in season 2's finale and season 2 in general has been reset and pushed back again in season 3.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. Kind of wish it would have just built upon each other, but it really feels like we're just spinning our wheels here.
Slowly crawling forward with the story.
Yeah.
But this episode, I think they had some really interesting parts with Paleon, mention of Thrawn, and how the warlords are trying to make these things happen without being in the spotlight, without making themselves known, and also keeping the ace of the sleeve, which is Thrawn, in the background. And we're going to do some deeper dives into Thrawn and what his plans are on the flight back from Star Wars Celebration. I listened to Heir to the Empire, and there's some really interesting things in there for what we could be seeing in Thrawn's character and in this part of the galaxy right now. There's a lot going on, and I think it's pretty exciting. Let us know your thoughts on this theory and the deep dive and what you think is happening with these Dark Troopers and these Beskar. I think there's something there that we haven't quite really put our fingers on. I want to get your thoughts and feedback on that. As always, thanks for watching. May the Force be with you. And hey, check out our podcast.